Hello and welcome to Coffee with the Carriers, first Florida edition. My name is Kevin Timoni. I lead sales efforts for Amwins Connect, and I am here with the fine folks over at Humana, Laura Nolan and Al Hernandez. How you doing today?
Doing great, fantastic. Happy to be here, and thank you for allowing us this opportunity.
You bet. All right, well, let's jump right into introductions. Laura, tell us who you are.
Thanks, Kevin. We love that this is the Florida edition. You have two of Florida natives here today with Humana. So I've been with Humana now for over 20 years. A long time ago, someone at Humana recruited me to sell their first innovative solution of a technology platform combined with consumer-driven products, so a member end-user experience. I then became a director of sales, a market leader, and then working always alongside of Al, handling public sector across the state of Florida. And now I've had the opportunity to become the director of group benefits for the Southeast. And so I'm excited to be here with our regional practice leader, Al Hernandez.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Kevin. Again, great opportunity to be here. I've had the fortune and quite honestly the blessing of having a phenomenal team across, my region, which is, it's fantastic. It's more than I can say, quite honestly. So I've been with the company for a long time. Probably I don't want to date myself, but definitely over 25 years or so. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. But to Laura's point, I think the good thing about it and the fact that we talked a little bit about our culture last night, right, and what it is and where it's going and the journey. And our journey is such a passionate one, right? I mean, we've been together actually for a long time, but I've held many roles in the organization. And one of the things that is vital to us is that we're constantly learning. I think that's kind of one of the pivotal things that Humana kind of brings to the table is you go from, that journey of, whether it's manager, director, rep, and you kind of grow with the company. And it's been a phenomenal journey and one that, I'm passionate about.
It's great. And experience is unmatched, it sounds like. That's great. Amwins Connect is bringing over 50 years of combined general agency experience to the state of Florida. And it's exciting to work with not only an established carrier partner, but also bringing some of the innovation that we both look after. And it's good to see we still have the passion behind it, right?
Absolutely.
This industry always keeps us on our toes. It's always changing.
It is.
If you're not changing with it, then it's going
the industry's going to pass you by, right?
That's right.
So one of the things we're really excited to hear about today and what you guys have in store for product designs in 23. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're absolutely thrilled about our new product innovations, and especially after we've just grown this specialty organization and built out our sales and account management team. Products are really something that Humana has always innovated. We have our dental, vision, and life products today under the specialty organization, and we know that we're going to expand products. We're going to expand to disability and to worksite products in the future. So continuing to offer an even larger portfolio for our brokers as well as our employer partners. Now, when it comes to product and plan designs, I will tell you that Humana has gotten creative. We try to offer a lot of solutions that will meet the member at each and every level, and also be very proactive about preventive care, preventive oral, ocular care, making sure that our population that uses our services are actually using them to get their routine cleanings and screenings. Humana has a dental plan that we've offered in the past. It's very popular here in Florida. It has an unlimited max program. So that's really a unique program that many employers have purchased from Humana and see that value in offering a plan like that with rich benefits for their employees. We then recently launched a vision plan that added an enhanced allowance called the Vision Plus plan. So we have a large national network of vision providers, and then we have a plus network. And if the members go to that plus network, they get an additional $50 allowance for any of their frames.
That's fantastic. No, it's great to hear about that. Very robust. And it sounds like you've put a lot of, those things don't happen overnight, do they? So a lot of probably feedback, as Al, you had touched on, and listening to employers and employees, your brokers coming back, here are the gaps. And it sounds like you guys are all ears, and now this is what's going to come out of that for 23.
And I think as we talk about, because we talk about products and innovation and what we're going to have, in 23, but 24 and 25 and so on and so forth, right? One of the things that, is key to the success of what we have, right? It's not just the branding, because Humana has been a brand name recognition, especially in Florida, as we talked about Florida. I mean, typically, I don't know if you know, Kevin, but from a Florida perspective, we represent $48 billion to the economy of Florida.
Wow.
That's how big Humana is, right? But part of our success has to do with our network, right? Because it's our products that for some, require some network access. I'll give you an example. So we talk a little bit about the dental per se, but a little bit over maybe 6.5 years ago, we had close to about 70,000 providers, right? Today, we have over 110,000 providers. Wow. Tomorrow, meaning 2023, probably end of 2023, probably going to have 118,000 providers. Wow. And if our network team is hearing this, we want 130,000 providers. So that's our goal. So on the network side of the house, that growth, right, it allows to actually, perform that combination between kind of that network as well as that product, that that innovation. And on the vision side of the house, we have 138,000 providers nationwide. You look at it, the success that we have, in Florida across the other state, but really the breadth that we have from a product perspective as well as from a network perspective. I think that combination is what allows us to be, as competitive as well as successful.
And that's that recipe we talked about.
Yes.
Well, setting aside the products and the programs that we both deliver to the brokerage community, it all starts with people. Right. And at the top, it starts with culture. And I think we share in a lot of our same values and principles around trust and, being somebody that brokers can find it, be accountable to helping them not only make a living, but protecting their clients and making sure that experience is one that you want to repeat and continue to grow your book of business. So tell me a little bit about the culture, and then we'll get into some of the people. Obviously, I've got a chance to meet a number of them out here, and they've been able to connect with our team. And a great update here is we've got now sales folks from border to border here in the great state, so any of your sales needs. But let's dive right into culture. Tell us a little bit about
culture.
that.
Great. It's a great topic, right? I mean, our culture needs to start at the top. That's the way I look at it, right? It starts from the top of the organization. So you can talk to our CEO down to our president of the division, or as well as anybody on the market. And we feel strongly, very strongly about, how to create not just a winning culture, right? We talk about products, and that's great, right? We need to have that, and we need to be able to provide that experience. But at the core of it, it's people, right? So how do we manage a culture that embraces, people's talents, skill set? How do we embrace, what they bring to the table, being vocal about it? I mean, sometimes we don't know. We think we know, right?
Sure.
But we don't know really what's going on in the marketplace unless somebody comes in and says, hey, you know what? What if we do this different? And that's how you start building the culture. You talk about trust, whether it's internally or whether it's externally, right? Internal clients, external clients, because we have clients internally too, right? So you talk to the underwriters, you talk to the marketing team. For us, they treat us as clients too, right? Yeah. And from an external perspective, the broker partners that we do too. So we try to embrace them all in such a way that it's family, right? Yeah. How would you deal, your respect, the way that you want to be treated? I think that builds a culture. Personally, I think people follow passion, they follow energy. They also follow, leaders, not managers, right? There's a big distinction between the two. And I think part of what we have created in Humana for as long as we have, and for as long as I have in Humana, is that, it's provide the best possible service and make sure that you're looking at it from the employee, from the employer point of view, right? That individual that is getting that service, how would you feel if it's your mom? How you feel if it's your brother, your friend? How do you treat those individuals? We look at it from that outside point of view.
There's an opportunity when you're working with different partners where we could all come to parity with a product design, right? You can get out there and you can say, all right, we all have the same deductibles and co-pays. Right. But then when you're consulting that agent or broker on which one did we go with, it comes down to some other things: cost, communication, and customer service. Excellent. And that customer service is really all about the people, and what Al's talking about, building that culture. It starts with trust. Right. And what we always say is what we did yesterday might not be ready for tomorrow, might not be right for tomorrow. We might need to make changes. How can we adjust? And especially in the world that we're in today. I mean, we've all, in this industry,
it never stops moving.
It's never stops moving, and we've been rapidly changing over the past 3 to 4 years, just given what's going on.
Yeah, I love it. Innovation backed by good people and culture, I think that's the recipe for success, and at least that's what we're seeing out here. And to be able to have those foundations, and then just thinking about your path, career path, and the ability to continue to grow and expand your role. I'm sure that's existed in all corners of the organization, so that's great. Today, I thought we would explore in a few different segments, but specifically specialty. It looks like it's going to be a great year for you folks. You guys got a lot of really interesting things that are happening right now. And so speak to us a little bit about what you're seeing in 2023 and beyond, maybe some of that innovation or advancements you've made on that specialty segment.
At the core of everything, right, it's people, right? We can make it work, but if we don't have the right people, the right talent, the right infrastructure, then, chances are we'll fail, right? So you talk a little bit about the capabilities, you're good at it, products and all that. I'll talk about the people that we're trying to build, right? Because if you think about Humana, right, you think about the specialty side of the house. We've been doing specialty for a long time. I mean, you take specifically Florida. I mean, we're one of the largest vision and dental carriers in the state. We have a strong footprint in Florida, right, as well as some of the other, states throughout the country. But what makes it different and unique is what we're trying to build from that team perspective. Now we're going to have, sales teams that not only are looking into how do we amplify that 2 to 25 space, right? How do we do it? How do we do it different? How do we do it more integrated? How do we provide that value proposition to your brokers, right? How do we do it fast and effective, right? And then how do we do that in the 25 up space too, right? There's a huge space there, and there's that middle ground, right? That 25 to maybe 999 that we're not only exploring but really investing a lot of resources and time. Humana has always traditionally been really good at the small business and at the jumbo space. Right? I mean, we've been really good at it. So now is bringing those expertise and skill sets into that middle market, right? So that we can tackle that. And talking about being excited about 2023 and what's in store for us, we built a very strong sales organization, and we're going to have what I believe to be, and I'm a little biased, obviously, right?
That's all right.
But I can tell you that we're probably going to be the best in the state and in pretty much in the country from what we're looking at it and what we're seeing.
I absolutely agree. Part of the excitement, and you heard Al and I have been here both for over 20 years. There's a reason for that, right? It's the culture. It's also, for me, I'm in a very large national company, but a company that's willing to change and innovate. In our industry, you don't see that often. At Humana, you see it every day. Right. And so having this opportunity as the director of Specialty Group Benefits for the Southeast, we've hired sales reps. We're now expanding and hiring all of our account management and our service team, and we're able to develop it specifically for that specialty market, dental, vision, life. And we have future products like disability that we'll be adding here pretty soon. And what's coming down, we're talking about innovation, right? What's coming down the pipe in 2024 and beyond is the worksite products too. We're going to bring that to the table too. Talking about, how do we go to market and how do we do it in such a way that is holistic? Makes it easier for, the partners that we're working with, but also gives them that experience to the, to the member on the other side of the house. Easy to use, easy to adjust, easy to make a selection, go through the process. I think not only 23, but man, I'm telling you, 24 and beyond is going to be absolutely great.
To the moon we go.
It's going to be good.
Yes.
No, it's great to hear you guys talk about that. And I love that you guys brighten up. You almost gleaming when you talk about your people because they're family, right?
Yeah, they are.
We talked about that at dinner last night too, about how important it is to be able to bring people into the organization and set them up for success, and that's great. We also have some foundational principles, and that's service, people, and technology.
Right.
And I want to hear a little bit more about how the two organizations work together. We, as a general agency, for those of you that don't know, we're here to support the brokerage community. We help you market and work with employers and brokers to be able to make sure that you're putting in place the right products. Through that effort, a lot of technology has come into our space. I'm sure you guys are constantly going over platform changes, enhancements, and then looking at the different platforms that are available to brokers, whether it's Navigator or Ease, both of which we're very fluent in. But you got to have it all today. You can't just have the people, you can't just have the culture, or just the technology, and it's the whole chart that needs to be full, and that's what I think sales leaders like us get to do, is to help to drive that. When brokers are sitting here watching this for the first time, What are some of the things from a program perspective that you want agents and brokers to think about? And you've also talked about a little bit of segmentation. So you've got the under 25, the 25 to 100 or 50 out here, and then up to 99. So if you could talk a little bit about that and some of the exciting things that they're going to see as they quote throughout the summer.
As we talk about hiring and building out our entire specialty organization, having such a fantastic team, it is partners like Amwins that we do need to continue to share the product knowledge, the innovations, and everything that we have. And that partnership together provides a better service to the brokers. I mean, ultimately, having two dynamic teams, two different large organizations that have access to innovative technologies like you mentioned, Ease and Navigator, and having those connectivity, it's really important. It's important to us too, because while we'd like to be out there and see all of our agents and be in their offices supporting, there's only so much time. So you all are really not just a partner, but a true extension of this specialty team for us. As far as our solutions, we talk all the time about service, and we just recently talked a little bit about our service journey. It's been a journey. We haven't always had this perfect service level, but we've learned from our mistakes, and we've learned, throughout the time that what we need to do is we need to do what's right for the customer, and the customer is the agent and the broker, it's the employer, and it is the member. So it's all three of those combined. It allows us to have our team make decisions that are maybe stepping outside of the box, but if it's right, that's what we're going to do. And that's really important to us. Our agents and our brokers have experienced our concierge service team, which really elevates. You walk into a hotel or you're traveling and you think, oh, where am I going to go to dinner tonight? Or I want to go, to this museum, and you have that one person to go to. We have that same setup at Humana, both from a broker perspective and employer. And that's really important because you don't want to have to dial 5 different numbers to find the solution. You don't want to have to Google or maybe track down your rep that's in a meeting. So we have a concierge team that is there. They know our clients. They have extensive years with Humana and in the service organization, and they're able to help in any different facet. Member didn't get an ID card. There's a question about the bill. We need to make some changes to the online system. They're there and they can navigate all of that. And the great thing about having that concierge service is then they do communicate back to us in the field, because we're the partner in the field. We're your partner, we're the broker's partner. And so that open lines of communication is always there. And I think that really brings a lot of value.
No, I totally agree. And I think if you need to summarize it right from that perspective, I mean, you're talking about understanding your client, right? So you got to listen. And you got to listen to listen.
All starts with listening.
Right. So you got to listen. You have to be flexible, because things are changing really quick. You talk about technology and how it moves and how it changes. So you got to be flexible. You need to be nimble to be able to implement that, right? Because it's one thing to listen and understand it. Well, how do you implement it, right? So you got to go to market. So ultimately, I mean, we want that speed to market for your brokers, for the community that we do business with, because we know that technology is changing. So we need to be fast enough to be able to, change with it, right? And stay ahead of the curve, right? Absolutely.
Well, we both recognize that we're an option.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a very robust industry. And if you're not innovative, you're not continually listening and addressing the market, then you get stale and you slowly lose your position. And that's clearly not what both organizations have done. And that's exciting. Outside of programs and some of the people and culture, we talked a lot about the community effort that Humana has developed and evolved here in the state of Florida. Talk to me a little bit about those programs and why that's so important. Member or non-member, we have a responsibility, I believe, in any state that we serve. And I read a lot about some of the efforts that you guys have done, and if you could share a little bit about that with the brokerage community.
Yeah, I think it all starts with caring, right? I mean, we care deeply about our communities that we serve. I think that's the number one thing. If you talk to any of our employees, I can tell you that 99.9% of the times they're already engaged in their community. They're serving some type of board.
Oh, even at the rep level.
I
love
absolutely.
that.
We do it across the board because, look, it's our community, right? We live here, we played here, we engage here. So it's important for us to be really engaged in our community, right? But again, it starts from the top. So on a personal note, one of the things that as you can tell by my accent, I'm not, I wasn't born, in the States, right? I was born and raised in Cuba, came when I was a teenager. So that gave me a really true understanding of really care for people, right? So one of the things that drive me is, we got to give back, right? We are successful, we're blessed, that's great. So with that, you got to be able to bless others along the way as well, right? So one of the things that I personally do, I engage at the school board level, I engage at this community level, and I engage at the housing level. And people say, well, why housing and then school districts and municipalities? Because everything is very holistic view, right? If you take care of the people that have taken care of you, right? You get the veterans out there that have sacrificed for our country, right? We need to be able to take care of them as well. So part of that housing, to create housing for those veterans, to create houses for the elderly, right? They're here, they're providers, they engage, they pay taxes for it. So we need to be able to do that. The families in need, we need to do that. So we need to be able to give them the foundation for them to be successful. At the college level, even at the school board level, education is absolutely key. I think, part of what you do, obviously I went to the States here, I went to college here, I got my MBA in this country. I'm a firm believer that education helps you achieve your dreams.
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, I really like to get engaged there, and I try to help the community as much as I can, try to help the kids as well as the young adults to be able to reach their dreams and their goals. And as long as you're providing that and you're caring that, you're giving that, it's not about you, it's about how do you make others around you successful? How do you do that and how you do it effectively? So for me, caring, it's a passion of mine, but it's also a passion for the entire team here in Florida. And we do it really well. And I'm very bullish and very passionate about, really engaging with our communities that we serve.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I think we all share throughout Humana. In fact, we just listened to our CEO, Bruce Broussard. He said the same thing, giving back and supporting that kind of shared value proposition. What we give back to our community will get back twofold to us. And I'll say, Kevin, that the pandemic really raised an awareness for a lot of us. First, we kind of scrambled in the early times trying to figure out how can we better serve our members. And being in the specialty world, the dental, vision, life, our dentists, our optometrists, ophthalmologists, they stopped seeing patients. And all of a sudden, our members then were without access to care. So it gave Humana that opportunity to launch innovative products like teledentistry and make sure that we launched it immediately during the pandemic so people could see that urgent or emergent care for tooth pain. And then from there, we just started to expand on those services. We then brought on Jet Dental partnership. Now we actually bring the dentist on site to our employer groups.
Wow.
And we have the employees can register online. They can have their teeth cleaned, cavities filled, you name it. It's a really unique solution. It helps bring that access to care at the employer level and at the member level. And so we've really had that continuum, and that really launched a lot of opportunities for us to have innovative products that we passed along to our members, like the teledentistry and the Jet Dental. And we have 5 different online providers for prescription glasses and contact lenses, so the largest number of online providers in the industry. So giving people that capability, and then really sitting back and saying, okay, we've helped our members during this time, we've helped our employers. Now what can we do for the community? And a lot of what Al spoke about, we're always addressing the social barriers to good health. Right? Are there individuals in our community that can't, now that the dentists are open, do they not have transportation to get there? Are they not getting their routine cleanings and their eye exam? And what can we do, regardless if they're a member or not, right? What can we do to help overcome those social barriers and get them access to that care?
Let's talk a little bit about that. And I love that you find the silver lining within the pandemic. And it almost feels a little awkward now to continue to repeat, to talk about it even. It's like, we're moving on, right? We're now through this, and we've taken some things, specifically in my role from a sales perspective now, a lot of the field sales now had to work from the inside. And so what it ultimately ended up happening is you now have a lot of outside, sales, field sales folks that also know how to reach out via the phone. And we talk about how the two organizations come together to help agents throughout the state execute and enroll and provide the sort of resources that you talked about. And I think it's important to talk about how we complement one another. And so for brokers that are new to working with general agencies or historically have worked with carriers, it's really a complement of services. It's, to your point, our ability to look a little broader and help you narrow in your plan selection before you get out to the employer. And what it does is it empowers you to get out there and sit across the decision table and having done your due diligence. Right? Now, we're seeing a lot of wins with Humana, no doubt, but we also know that over year, things do change and evolve, specifically to what you spoke about. Is it time to add lines of coverage? Is it time to look other places simply because of just dynamics that are sometimes out of our control? Another thing that we do, and I think it's important to note, is the technology piece. For anybody who's looking to work with Amwins Connect for the first time, we've got a full suite of technology available to you. It's a real focus of ours. Ease is a product that we've brought in from the West over. Very competent there, but we also understand the resources tied to Employee Navigator and setting it up and making sure that the library and all the things are accurate in there. All of those support the effort to enroll and grow and add more lines and ultimately more market share with Humana. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are doing that. Where do you guys intersect with the brokerage community, whether it's bilingual enrollment, whether it's resources, worksheets, things of that nature, but talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so as you heard, Al and I have been, with Humana for many
For a
years.
long time.
We remember those
Were you
paper.
binding quotes back
Oh, yeah,
in the
yeah,
day?
oh, absolutely.
Because we all
Oh,
met quotes in our day. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We remember those paper enrollments.
The fax machines. We're still going back to the fax machine.
A couple kicking the machine.
Yeah.
It's not, we
24 hours later, I'll get you the quote.
That's right.
24 hours later.
Humana started work at home years ago because of that work-life balance, making sure that our associates across the country just had that work-life balance to help improve their health and their mental health, certainly. So we always had a flexible schedule, but the technology impact was key in making sure we have that connectivity. And so that's one thing. Ease, Navigator, we have those partnerships set up with them, but I just spoke with a number of sales reps and we talked about social selling and technology and branding yourself out there. It is no longer an option in the sales world. There's so many opportunities out there, and there's just not enough time on the road to see all the people to spread that message and share about our products and our solutions. And I really think that's what Amwins Connect can help many of these agents and brokers that don't have the resources with the suite of services that you all do, and can bring that and build out their social media presence, do things like this podcast that we're doing
setting me up
today.
here, Laura. I love it. Keep going.
But it's true. There's different segments, as we said. You've got the small and small employers, and then you have the national accounts. We see with our national accounts, they're highly invested in large cloud-based HRIS systems. The small employers don't have the resources or the funding to do that. So they need partners that can help them with that technology. And oftentimes we have an employer that the president is also the CFO and is also the HR manager and does everything, right? And so how can we help them be more efficient, and also certainly not only financially by providing them more competitive pricing with their benefits portfolio, but financially saving them costs from an administrative perspective.
Right. I mean, and if you look at it from the perspective of talent, right, going back to that talent scenario, I mean, the reality is talent is hard to get, right? It's hard to manage. It's hard to keep, right? So you have small employers that they want to retain the talent. The only way for them to do it is through benefits, right? So how do you do it in a market that is hyper competitive, right? They need partners like you to bring that differentiated solution that the larger jumbo national accounts are getting, but they don't have access to it. So I think retaining talent, keeping that intact, that business flowing, it's absolutely key for these smaller employers.
And you hit on a couple of really good points, and it's really kind of where the industry is evolving. We used to work with more of your middle to smaller brokerage firms throughout the country, and now you're seeing a lot of downstream coming from your multi-state operators, your national firms, which is exciting because they both need different solutions. We tend to have a conversation around the micro groups. It's a buzzword, and how a general agency can come in and help service those, take a little bit of the administration overhead out of the way, allow your talent to focus on selling and driving the agency in terms of the direction you want to go. And then you touched on marketing, which is a big one for us, and there's all varying degrees of marketing, whether it's social selling, whether it's looking at brand recognition, developing out your LinkedIn account, even having the resources to help maybe a new client with their own, social selling and things like that. But, that's been an exciting conversation that we've had, and I think Amwins Connect has a little bit of an angle on, and especially when you have a lot of fancy new things to talk about, and we'll touch on that here in just a little bit. But, when you've got new messaging from a carrier, new widgets and things that a general agency can provide, the brokers are empowered to run out to the marketplace and share that information. And that's, at the end of the day, that's really what our role is to empower and put the agents in a place to get out there and be successful, whether it's through technology or the right messaging through marketing. But again, we talk about this, it all has to roll up, and you can't just do a little bit of this or be really good at just one thing. It's actually the entire wheel of things that brokers are looking for. And touching on the employer and employee experience, I believe, been in this industry for a couple of decades now, that's probably been the most advanced piece of what technology has brought. The underwriting piece, the onboarding, the accuracy of those things. I mean, who hasn't gotten a call, 60 days later, this person wasn't added or this person shouldn't have been. And I think as we evolve and get better at working with these machines and this technology, it ultimately puts us in a better position with less errors. And
that's funny
exciting.
You talk about accuracy, right? And I remember, I'm once again dating myself, right? And we had a senior leader in the organization that he used to say, you walk into the halls and says, how would you like it if we pay claims the same way that your bank manages your money, right? The 99%, 99 point accuracy. But if you go in and you say, 85% of the times the claim is going to be correct.
That's not good.
Really? It's not good enough, right? So it's always that aiming to that perfection, that it's a journey, right? I mean, how do you get to be perfect at, doing what you're doing? But if you really understand, the consumer side of the house, what they're experiencing, the challenges that we have economically, right? Because we know that, right? So how do we stay ahead of it and at the same time provide the differentiated solution, not only internally, not only externally, but also to our partners as well?
And part of that we just mentioned, we're starting to integrate AI technology for
AI, the buzzword.
A buzzword.
Where's my job going? Embrace it.
Yeah, but that's a way that we can help expedite those claims and faster turnaround time. We used to talk about claims lag, and really in the specialty space there isn't that lag. Everything is auto adjudicated. Now we're integrating AI tools to even faster enable and have a better accuracy with those claims payment, and it's proving true. I mean, we've had such high satisfaction as far as our claims payment goes. That I think is really where it starts.
Well, and having that accessibility 24/7, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it on a Sunday.
Don't call in
you get
sick.
up.
There's no
Right.
vacation times. It's,
So that technology gives you that ability so that the employee can say, hey, you know what, I have a situation on Sunday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, we can call somebody, right? You're going to get the resources, you're going to get the information that you need. Otherwise, you got to wait till Monday, right? And we're not in that stage anymore.
And they have apps, right? So our Humana app, you just tap on it, your dental ID card, your vision ID card. It's all in that mobile device.
And it spans so many industries. I now have a keyless entry
I
for my hotel room, right?
Right.
And you just see all these things starting to go away. And the AI is so intriguing. It almost comes across as it's going to make us really, really, really good until it replaces us.
Oh yeah, that's
To enjoy the ride, right? No, that's great.
So Laura, why don't we talk a little bit about what's in store for 23 from an innovation perspective? Because we know it's here, but why don't we just tell Kevin and the rest, what we're doing?
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited
I know.
about it. So in addition to the product, the network, and everything we've just talked about, we have a lot of value-added solutions. We've talked throughout this chat about innovation and technology, and that goes for actually products and the services that we offer. So we have just recently launched a partnership with Truthbrush, which
Say that fast.
Yeah, I know, right? Say it 3 times.
yeah, and I call it the Fitbit of the toothbrush. So it's kind
Interesting.
of it's that creative device that you can add to your toothbrush or to your children's toothbrush.
More
importantly, to help make sure that they're brushing in the right areas and in the right amount of time every time they brush their teeth.
No, just getting it wet anymore and putting it on the counter.
Right,
We've got to see those scrubs and see those. That's great.
Right, those of us that have kids,
Yeah.
we know that experience. Audicus is another provider that we have a partnership with that our members have access. It's an online hearing aid technology and tool. And then recently, which we're just really excited to start bringing to the market, is a new relationship with Byte.
Yeah.
And it's BYTE Byte. That is the new innovation when it comes to orthodontia. It's actually clear liners that are sent to a member's home, and they can do everything out of their home instead of going to a provider's office.
Wow, maybe another COVID silver lining that's come out of that, right?
Yeah.
Well, Laura and Al, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our time together here, and hopefully the brokerage community that's listened to this has also got a lot of value and insights as to what both organizations are doing out here in this great state of Florida. We've heard a lot about culture and people and technology, foundational items for both organizations. You've heard about sales support. You've heard about how our two organizations work together to bring product knowledge and really school's in session all the time in this business. And you've got an unlimited amount of resources, working with both sales teams and enrollment firms, and also, helping you bridge technology. We talked a little bit about how we take smaller firms and how they can compete with some of the bigger firms, harnessing technology and looking for, the carrier insights that we talked about today. So first and foremost, thank you so much for trusting us in a partnership in a new state. We've had a great run since July. In fact, I'm really pleased with our numbers and results so far, and I think it's really sky's the limit from here. So thank you so much. On behalf of Amwins Connect and Coffee with the Carriers, thank you for your time. Hope you have a successful week.
Thank you.